my name is Shannon Chestnut. I'm part of the Lambert High School FCCLA, and I'm a level 3, and today I'll be presenting on kitchen ratios. So kitchen ratios are essentially the backbone of all recipes, and they are measured in parts, which can be measured by weight or in cups, and that's what makes them so great, is that they're so versatile, so you can choose how to measure it however you would like. And the benefits of kitchen ratios are they allow for a lot more creativity in the kitchen, and they allow for easy recipe creation, and also they allow for faster cooking and baking processes because you don't have to keep going back and forth between a recipe and what you're doing. You just know it off the top of your head. And if you know one kitchen ratio, you can know hundreds and thousands of different recipes. So these are baking ratios, and baking ratios are the most important to know because baking is pretty much a science, or it is a science. And if you don't know these ratios, your dish probably won't turn out correctly. So this is essentially a compass in the baking world. I thought it was very important to include this image because it shows a lot of the different baking ratios in an organized fashion. And then this is the basic ratios in French and Cajun cooking. So I included the mirepoix, the Holy Trinity, and roux. And in a lot of roux recipes, it'll show them measured in cups, the flour and the fat. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, and it looks like the flour's more when it's measured in cups, but it's actually to make up for the fact that a cup of oil weighs more than a cup of flour. So in some situations, it's better to measure by weight to have a more accurate result, but it can be measured both ways. So these are ratios by amount per unit of weight. So for example, shrimp, when you buy shrimp, it'll tell you how many of them there is per pound. And this is important to know in a lot of different situations because sometimes a recipe will want you to have a pound of something, but it's more important in that recipe for those individual items to be larger or smaller. So that's something that you definitely want to take into account, and that could change your recipe a lot. So with everything that I learned, I created a recipe, and I created an apple cinnamon pancake recipe, and I used the pancake ratio that I learned before. So it's 2 parts of flour to 2 parts of liquid to 1 part eggs. And so I replaced some of the egg with applesauce because that's another ratio that eggs and applesauce are interchangeable. So for 1 egg, you would use 1/4 of a cup of applesauce. So I also used that to create my flavor profiles, and it's important that you use ratios that will allow for you to create good flavor profiles and also create a better dish. Added cinnamon for flavor, and that apples also won't throw off the moisture balance in the pancakes because they're replacing some of the eggs. And then I also used 1 teaspoon of baking powder because for about every cup of flour you should be using 1 teaspoon of baking powder for a fluffier pancake. And now I'll be moving on to the questions. So the first question was, what is one skill you learned or improved upon during your project that you will be using next year or in your future career? And I learned about all types of kitchen ratios and how important they can truly be in the kitchen and how they can make or break a recipe. And I think this is really important because going along in a food-based career, I will need to know those so I don't have to keep looking at recipes. It'll make things more convenient in the kitchen. So I thought that that was very important and that I could use that later on in life to perfect my craft. And then the second question is, what obstacles caused challenges in your work and how did you address them? I definitely faced challenges of what ratios I should pick because they're all pretty important, but I wanted to make sure that I picked the most important ones. Thank you for your time.